Imagine this. You are at an elite gathering. A billionaire stands 3 feet away from you. You have exactly 120 seconds before they walk away forever. What you say next will either open doors to unimaginable opportunities or mark you as irrelevant. Most people get this moment catastrophically wrong. They beg, they pitch, they try to impress, and they lose. But there's a darker way. A method discovered 500 years ago by a man who understood power better than anyone in history. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see every social interaction for the rest of your life. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into the forbidden psychology of social climbing. We are talking about Machiavelli's 13 laws for connecting with powerful people. This isn't motivational fluff. This is raw, unfiltered strategy that the elite use but never discuss openly. Before we begin, I need to warn you. These principles work. They work so well that they might change who you become. Use them wisely. Use them ethically. But most importantly, understand them, because powerful people are already using them on you. Let's start with a story. The wedding that changed everything. Meet Raj, 28 years old. Talented software engineer. Hardworking. Intelligent. But stuck. For 5 years, he'd been grinding at a mid-level position, watching less capable people leap past him on the corporate ladder. Then came the invitation. His cousin's wedding. A grand affair. And on the guest list? The CEO of one of India's fastest-growing tech unicorns. A man worth over 500 crores. A man who could change Raj's entire trajectory with a single phone call. Raj prepared for weeks. He memorized the CEO's interviews. He rehearsed his elevator pitch. He bought an expensive suit he couldn't afford. He was ready to make his big move. The moment arrived. The CEO stood alone at the bar, briefly separated from his usual circle of admirers. Raj's hands trembled as he approached. "Sir, I'm Raj. I'm a huge admirer of your work. I've been following your company's journey for years. I actually have some innovative ideas about AI implementation that could revolutionize your product development cycle. I know you are busy, but if you could just give me 10 minutes of your time, I promise it will be worth." The CEO's eyes glazed over. A polite smile. "That's nice. Email my assistant." He turned away. The conversation lasted 45 seconds. Raj had failed, but he didn't understand why. 3 months later, Raj attended another event. This time, he tried something different. Something darker. Something Machiavellian. Law 1. Never show your need. The psychology of desperation. Here's the brutal truth that most people never understand. Powerful people are surrounded by beggars. Not literal beggars, but people who want something. A job. An investment. An introduction. A favor. Every single day, dozens of people approach them with their hands out. And every single time, these powerful individuals have the same reaction, disgust masked by politeness. Why? Because neediness is repulsive. It screams weakness. It says, "I am below you, and I need you to save me." Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago when he wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see you, but few can feel you." The reversal. When Raj attended that second event, he saw the same CEO. But this time, he didn't approach. He deliberately positioned himself in the CEO's line of sight, engaged in an animated conversation with someone else, laughing genuinely. The CEO noticed him. Human psychology is strange this way. When you are not chasing, people become curious about why. Later, when they were introduced by a mutual acquaintance, Raj didn't pitch. He didn't ask. Instead, he said something that changed everything. "I've been working on something fascinating. We've been solving a problem in machine learning that most people don't even realize exists yet. But I'm sure you are already thinking 3 steps ahead in your own domain." Notice what happened? Raj created intrigue without revealing desperation. He positioned himself as an equal exploring interesting territories, not as a supplicant begging for crumbs. The dark psychology behind this. Powerful people operate in a world of scarcity in one area only, time and attention. Everything else, they can buy. But your disinterest? That's rare. That's valuable. When you don't need them, they start wondering why. And that wondering creates an opening. Law 2. Offer value before you ask. The currency of power. Here's what Raj learned. Powerful people think in terms of ROI. Return on investment. Not just with money, but with everything. Their time. their attention, their network. When you approach them, they are unconsciously asking, "What's in this for me?" Most people get this catastrophically wrong. They think, if I can just get them to know how talented I am, they'll want to help me. Wrong. Powerful people don't care about your talent. They care about what your talent can do for them. The Machiavellian approach. During that second conversation, Raj didn't talk about himself. He talked about the CEO's recent product launch, but not in a generic, flattering way. He said, "I noticed your new feature has a 23% drop-off rate at the third user interaction point. I've seen this pattern before. It's usually a cognitive load issue, not a technical one. Your users are making a decision at that point, and the decision architecture is creating friction." The CEO stopped. "How do you know our metrics?" "I don't. I'm estimating based on the user flow I analyzed on your public demo. I could be completely wrong. But if I'm right, there's a relatively simple fix that doesn't require rebuilding anything." What just happened? Raj demonstrated three things simultaneously. Competence. He understood the product at a deep level initiative. He'd done unpaid analysis without being asked utility. He offered a solution to a real problem. Most importantly, he offered value before asking for anything in return. The CEO invited him to the office the following week. Not because Raj asked, but because the CEO wanted to extract value from him. The dark truth. In Machiavelli's world, generosity is not altruistic. It's strategic. You give to create obligation. You solve problems to become indispensable. You offer value to create dependency. This sounds manipulative because it is. But here's the thing. Powerful people respect this game. They play it themselves every day. When you demonstrate that you understand the rules, you are speaking their language. Law 3. Master the art of strategic invisibility. The paradox of power. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." Here's a counterintuitive truth. The fastest way to gain power is to hide your ambition. When Raj started consulting for the CEO's company, he could have used every meeting to angle for a full-time position, to network aggressively, to make his presence known to everyone. He didn't. Instead, he became strategically invisible. He delivered exceptional work. He solved problems. But he never promoted himself. He never talked about his achievements. He let his results speak. Why this works? Powerful people are paranoid. They are constantly watching for threats. Anyone who appears too ambitious, too eager to climb, triggers their defense mechanisms. But someone who appears content, someone who does excellent work without seeking glory, that person is safe. That person can be trusted. And once you are trusted, you are inside the castle walls. The 3 months of silence. For 3 months, Raj worked with the company as an external consultant. He was invited to strategy meetings. He had direct access to C-suite executives. He could have leveraged this into immediate opportunities. Instead, he remained quiet. He contributed when asked. He delivered beyond expectations. But he never pushed. Then, something interesting happened. The CEO started asking him, "Why haven't you applied for our open positions? You'd be perfect for the head of AI role we are trying to fill." Raj had created desire by withholding himself. The manipulation. This is dark psychology at its finest. You are not actually invisible. You are strategically managing perception. You are making them work to keep you, rather than you working to keep them interested. It's a reversal of power dynamics. And it works. Law 4. Understand their language. Speak to their world. The Tower of Babel problem. Most people fail with powerful individuals because they speak different languages. Not English versus Hindi, but the language of concerns, priorities, and worldviews. A struggling entrepreneur thinks in terms of survival. A billionaire thinks in terms of legacy. If you talk survival to someone thinking legacy, you are incomprehensible. Decoding the power dialect. When Raj finally had his first formal meeting with the CEO about a potential role, he didn't talk about salary, job security, or career growth. Those are employee concerns. Instead, he said, "Your company is at an inflection point. You are moving from growth phase to scaling phase. The AI infrastructure that got you here won't get you to IPO. You need someone who understands not just the technology, but the organizational transformation required to implement it at scale." He spoke the language of business scaling, of inflection points, of IPO preparation. The CEO leaned forward. The 5 languages of power. Powerful people typically think in 5 dimensions. Scale. How does this multiply impact? Leverage. How does this create asymmetric returns? Legacy. How does this outlive me? Network effects. How does this compound over time? Risk management. What could destroy what I've built? When you frame your ideas, your proposals, your very existence in these terms, you are speaking their native language. The forbidden technique. Here's where it gets dark. You can manufacture this language even if you don't naturally think this way. You can study how they speak in interviews, podcasts, and public forums. You can mirror their vocabulary, their rhythm, their conceptual frameworks. Is this authentic? No. Is it effective? Absolutely. Machiavelli would approve. He understood that authenticity is less important than outcomes. Law 5. Become the bridge, not the destination. The network multiplier effect. Powerful people don't just want competent individuals. They want connectors. People who expand their network's value. Raj understood this. Instead of positioning himself as the sole solution to problems, he became the bridge to other solutions. For that machine learning challenge, I know someone who solved something similar at Google. I can make an introduction. That regulatory issue you mentioned? My former professor advises the government on tech policy. I can arrange a conversation. Why this multiplies your value? When you're a bridge, you become infrastructure in their world. You are not just useful once. You are useful repeatedly. And you are harder to replace because you've embedded yourself into their network architecture. Machiavelli wrote about the importance of being indispensable. Being a connector is the modern expression of this principle. The dark side. Of course, you are also creating dependency. Every connection you broker is a thread that ties them to you. Every introduction you make is a reminder of your utility. You are building invisible chains of obligation. And powerful people respect this game because they play it themselves. Law 6. Timing is everything. Attack when they are vulnerable. The opportunity window. Machiavelli was obsessed with timing. He understood that the same action produces different results depending on when it's executed. Raj noticed something. The CEO had just lost his CTO to a competitor. The company was preparing for a major product launch in 6 months. There was organizational chaos. This was the moment. Not when things were going well. Not when the CEO was comfortable and had options. But when there was a crisis. When there was need. Strategic opportunism. Raj reached out. I imagine the CTO transition is creating some challenges. If you need someone to stabilize the technical roadmap temporarily while you search for the right replacement, I can clear my schedule for the next month. He didn't ask for a permanent position. He offered to solve an immediate crisis. But here's the manipulation. Once you are inside during a crisis, you become associated with stability. You become hard to remove. The vulnerability principle. Powerful people have moments of weakness. A failed product launch. A key executive departure. A PR crisis. A market downturn. These moments are your opportunities. Not to exploit in an obvious way, but to demonstrate value when it's most needed. Once you've helped someone through their darkest moment, they don't forget. You become trusted in a way that no amount of networking during good times can achieve. The ethical line. Is this manipulative? Yes. Are you taking advantage of someone's vulnerable moment? Also yes. But here's the thing. If you actually deliver value, if you genuinely help solve the problem, is it still exploitation? Or is it just intelligent positioning? Machiavelli would say the question itself is irrelevant. What matters is the outcome. Law 7. Mirror their status, never exceed it. The Sun King problem. Louis XIV said, I am the state. Powerful people have similar psychology. They are the sun, and you are a planet in their orbit. If you shine too bright, you become a threat. Raj learned this the hard way. After joining the company as head of AI, he gave an interview to a tech publication. The article was flattering. It positioned him as a visionary leader. The CEO's demeanor changed. Subtle, but noticeable. Raj had committed a cardinal sin. He had created a parallel narrative of importance. The correction. In the next company-wide meeting, Raj made sure to say, the AI strategy we are implementing is really a reflection of the CEO's vision for where technology meets business impact. I'm just executing the roadmap he's laid out. This wasn't true. Raj had created most of the strategy himself. But truth was less important than perception management. The reflection principle. Your job is to make powerful people look good. to reflect their brilliance, not compete with it. When they succeed, you get the private rewards, money, access, opportunities. But the public glory? That's theirs. Machiavelli understood this deeply. The prince must always appear more powerful than his advisors, even if the advisors are doing most of the actual work. Law 8. Cultivate the gatekeepers. The invisible power structure. Every powerful person is surrounded by gatekeepers. The executive assistant, the chief of staff, the long-time advisor, the trusted friend. Most people ignore these individuals or treat them as obstacles. Fatal mistake. Raj made friends with the CEO's executive assistant, Priya. Not in a manipulative way. He genuinely respected her role. He remembered her birthday. He asked about her family. He made her job easier by being organized and responsive. The payoff. When the CEO was deciding between two candidates for a major project, he asked Priya, "What do you think?" She said, "Raj is easier to work with. He's responsive, professional, and doesn't waste your time." That comment decided it. The gatekeeper advantage. Gatekeepers have two forms of power. Access. They control who gets time with the powerful person influence. Their opinions carry weight because they are trusted. When you cultivate gatekeepers, you are not just being nice. You are strategically positioning yourself in the power ecosystem. Machiavelli would call this understanding the true architecture of power. The org chart shows one thing. The actual power flows differently. Law 9. Create dependency without appearing to do so. The indispensability trap. The ultimate power move is making yourself indispensable while appearing replaceable. Raj accomplished this through a simple technique. He documented nothing. His AI implementation strategies, his key algorithms, his vendor relationships, his problem-solving approaches, none of it was written down in a way anyone else could replicate. If someone asked, he'd share. But the knowledge lived in his head. The psychological dependency. After 18 months, the CEO had a realization. The company's most valuable technical asset was Raj's knowledge. If he left, there would be a 6-month gap while someone new learned the systems. Raj had become infrastructure. The dark ethics. Is this holding the company hostage? In a way, yes. But here's the nuance. Raj did actually deliver extraordinary value. He wasn't sandbagging or deliberately creating problems. He was just ensuring his knowledge remained proprietary. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. You make yourself valuable not just through what you do, but through what only you can do. The balance. The art is being indispensable without appearing to be deliberately making yourself indispensable. If they suspect you are playing this game, it backfires. They'll move to replace you just to prove they can. But if it seems natural, if it seems like an organic consequence of your unique expertise, then it's accepted. Law 10. Manage your gratitude strategically. The thank you problem. When the CEO first gave Raj an opportunity, most people would have gushed with gratitude. "Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I won't let you down." Raj didn't do that. He said, "I appreciate the opportunity. I'm looking forward to contributing to what you are building." Notice the difference? One sounds like a subordinate receiving charity. The other sounds like a peer collaborating. Action over words. Instead of expressing gratitude verbally, Raj demonstrated it through exceptional work. He delivered results that exceeded expectations. He solved problems before they were articulated. This is strategic gratitude. You don't diminish yourself by appearing overly thankful. You elevate the relationship by treating the opportunity as a mutual value exchange. The Machiavellian view. In The Prince, Machiavelli warns against excessive displays of gratitude because they reveal weakness and dependency. Better to show your value through actions than to advertise your debt through words. Law 11. Learn their pressure points. The fear mapping exercise. Every powerful person has fears. These fears are usually invisible to casual observers, but they drive decisions in profound ways. Raj studied the CEO carefully. What kept him up at night? Fear of becoming irrelevant as the industry evolved, fear of losing the company culture as they scale, fear of making a wrong hire at the executive level, fear of missing the next big technological shift. Once Raj understood these fears, he positioned himself as the solution. Strategic fear mitigation. When proposing initiatives, Raj would frame them in terms of these underlying anxieties. This AI implementation doesn't just improve efficiency. It ensures we are not disrupted by smaller, more agile competitors who are already using these tools. He wasn't selling features. He was selling fear relief. The manipulation. This is dark psychology at its most effective. You are not creating new fears, that would be obvious and unethical. You are identifying existing fears and positioning yourself as the remedy. Machiavelli understood that fear is a more reliable motivator than affection. People who love you might betray you. People who need you rarely do. Law 12. Control the narrative. The story they tell. Powerful people are obsessed with their legacy, their story, how they are perceived. Raj realized that he could influence this narrative. In meetings, he would frame decisions in ways that made the CEO look visionary. When you decided to pivot toward AI-first architecture last year, most people in the industry thought it was premature. But now everyone's scrambling to catch up. That foresight is why we are positioned so well. Had the CEO actually made that decision with such clarity? Not really. But Raj's retelling created that perception. The reality construction. Over time, Raj became the person who shaped how the CEO's decisions were understood and communicated. He was writing the first draft of history. This gave him enormous soft power. Because to contradict Raj's narrative was to contradict the story the CEO wanted to believe about himself. Machiavellian storytelling. Machiavelli understood that perception is reality in the realm of power. The prince who is perceived as strong is strong, regardless of underlying reality. By controlling the narrative, you control the perception. And by controlling the perception, you control the reality.